humor me for 45 seconds. Brian Petrie's going to come on here in a couple minutes, but I want to read you these quotes from Alexander Volkanovski, courtesy of the Freestyle Bender YouTube channel. So if you give me about 60 seconds. The fact that I'm moving up, doing the bulking, telling myself we need to get stronger, we need to work on that takedown defense, all of a sudden I'm twice as strong as I was. My defense is just on point. I'm like an absolute brick fucking wall. I put the swear in there. You like that? I'm an absolute brick fucking wall when people are trying to run into me and they feel it. They instantly feel it as soon as they grab a hold of me or we grab each other. They can already significantly see the strength, so it just makes you think where I go from here. You can see in his face, he's talking about Islam Makhachev's face now, like, this guy ain't too big. I've seen that on plenty of people's faces before. I've seen that on my previous fights, my last 4 or 5 fights, but that face quickly changes when I'm in the octagon. Give me 10 seconds with him, that face changes real quick. All of a sudden, that size doesn't matter. All of a sudden, my footwork, where's this guy at? I'm a puzzle. He's already given drama. Then I put my hands on him. There's another problem. Then they try to grab a hold of me, and I'm like a little brick fucking wall. He actually swore that time. There's another problem. That's when you see them start to crumble and be like, fuck, what have I got myself into? That's exactly what's going to happen with Islam, especially the way he's looking. I can tell he really thinks he's going to be way too strong. Kenny, I'll start with you on this. A lot of people, when they handicap this matchup, they start with the size and the strength. So what are your thoughts on an obviously confident Volkanovski here about 2 weeks out?
That's right. And the size and strength issue is both a blessing and a curse because, you know, if I want to take someone down and I am someone like a Makhachev, you know, he gets a lot of his takedowns up against the cage. He grabs your legs. He picks you up. Now, that means that he needs to get that much lower, right? Due to Volkanovski's center of gravity, he needs to get that much lower on that stocky, strong dude. And taking down a fire hydrant is always going to be problematic. Volkanovski's no chump in that arena, but that's where Makhachev is going to win this fight if he wins it, in my mind, right? He takes you down, he beats you up, he ends up getting a submission. So I think for Volkanovski, that is an advantage. Now, for Volkanovski, going against a guy who's taller, who's rangier, he needs to get that much closer to him, right, in order to land those shots, which allows Makhachev to get closer to that clinch opportunity. So, to me, distance is going to be the major factor in that fight. Who can dominate that distance and who can, you know, prevent the other from taking him down and who can, you know, get that striking going early. That's what it's going to come down to. I mean, pretty much that's what comes down to every fight, but especially for these guys, right? So I'm fascinated with the fight. In my opinion, Volkanovski is probably the best pound-for-pound fighter on the planet right now. The way he puts it all together, I really think he's that good. He's extremely intelligent. Physically, he's a beast. He will not quit. We saw that against Ortega. He has had those chances to quit in fights, and he will not and will not. So I'm fascinated with it. And Makhachev is one of the finest grapplers that we've seen in the UFC. So this is going to be a phenomenal fight. It's very rare that we get champion versus champion, and anytime we get that, it's always a treat, and it's going to be great. I like hearing Volkanovski say this because he is fired up and still has that chip on his shoulder and wants to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah, I think Kenny's point on one thing you said that I totally agree with. It always comes down to the same thing. That's why when I hear guys analyze fights, they go in this way, and I'm like, I just simple. To me, it's simple, you know. But Kenny, I think you hit on that exactly, and I'm going to say when this fight when is that fight?
Couple weeks, man.
I mean,
weeks. Yeah.
I think Volkanovski could pull this off. I mean, he hasn't taken a shitload of damage, right? He's an intelligent fighter, and he is a fire hydrant. I remember, I think when Matt fought Ivan Menjivar, he said, and Matt's jiu-jitsu, Ken, you know, was always on point, especially back then. He said the guy would reclaim God. He goes, his legs were so short, he had never experienced that before. And he was just, you know, he was just, you know, going right back to God. I think that was the thing. But the point being is that because he was so short, it posed a problem in certain areas. And I think that's what we're going to see here. Like, Kenny, you're mentioning range. I'm not sure if Islam is the range. He's like that long, rangy fighter where he knows how to dictate the range with his range, right? He's more of a grappler. So he's got to get in too.
Yes.
I don't know what happens with this. I really think this is a great matchup. And you're right. He's against the cage. Where do you go? 3 feet below the octagon to grab this guy? Like, that's not an easy thing to do. It's just not. And how about this? How about Volkanovski against Sarukian? You mentioned him, who's not that big. That's a really good fight. Like who wins that fight?
Oh my gosh.
Look at you playing matchmaker.
And it's not linear logic. We know that, but Zarukian gave Islam a fit.
Hey. Right, and that's one thing I never thought of is go back to that fight. That was the dude who gave him his toughest fight, as far as the Makhachev that we know. I think that's a great point.
The key to me is in those scrambles, who gives up first? You know what I mean? Like with Zarukian, those scrambles were phenomenal, but you got to be able to last out through. You got to be able to outdo him in the scrambles. Like it's not even going to be a strength thing. I think it's going to be more of a cardio thing. And this is a really good fight. I'm actually, especially here in Volkanovski, I'm really leaning towards him. This is a very winnable fight for a 5-rounder. Very winnable fight.
Kenny Florian says that when you grapple with a man, you really understand what he's made of, right beyond just the athlete. You really get a lens into that man. That's why I've never trained jiu-jitsu with Ken-Flo, because he'll understand just how fucking soft I am. No, I wouldn't be looking for a way out, but I just got brown belts being fucking annoying on my 5th day. Like, I'm fucking gone. I'll go play golf. Fuck you guys.
Well, look, let me just blow up to a couple of, I think that was the thing with Weidman coming up. Guy was a blue belt. He was just squashing black belts, which is unheard of, right? But he was just such a physical, imposing force that he was, and he was technical. I mean, that's not a good combination for anybody. And even Aljo, find a guy that just took a piss on Aljo grappling with him. You're not going to find it. Aljo's he's really good. Right. So I think people, like what you say, when you grapple with him, they appreciate it. Now, fighting is totally different, but you still get a feel for that guy's no joke. Like if you think people think they're just going to piss on certain people, like even with the Henry Cejudo fight, he's got the mindset of an Olympian. Tell me all the good things about Henry, because I guarantee you it's not going to help him.
Yeah, I know Petrie's ready. We'll get to him in like 60 seconds. Right now, the odds on DraftKings Sportsbook, Islam Makhachev -380, Alexander Volkanovski +310. But yeah, I'm with you, Ray. Like a lot of us don't see this as some major upset. And, Chael Sonnen did a video about this as well. Even though there have been times in which Volkanovski has faced adversity in the octagon, right? Certainly, I believe the second Max Holloway fight, the Brian Ortega fight, Kenny, he was mounted, right? But like, if Alexander Volkanovski is outstruck for a time, right? That'll be like the first time we really see that, right? If he's outstruck extendedly, if he's out grappled or out wrestled extendedly, that'll be the first time we see that. So the notion that this would be some big upset, I understand why the odds are what they are, and a lot of that is rooted in Islam's greatness and the size. But again, we're talking about the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, at least consensus, Alexander Volkanovski, trying to win a fight. That's all he's done for the better part of a decade. All right, before we let you go, Ray, we're going to bring Brian Petrie into the conversation because I just want, everybody in the Anik podcast family to say hello to each other. And we got this rising star, Brian Petrie. Ray Longo, not yet in the highlight of his career.
How we feeling there, Brian?
What's up, Ray?
I haven't seen you in a while.
It's been a while, Ray. Yeah. I mean, I watch you every week, but it's been a while, brother.
I want to get this guy on when I'm on. I want to feed off of Petrie's energy.
There we go.
That's
now
what I'm fucking doing. It's called a crossover. That's what I'm fucking doing.
What's it called?
You want to feed off his energy before. This is what in radio we call a crossover. Even though you guys are not guests, you're usual suspects, but you guys are crossing over, right? As you're leaving, he's coming on, and you guys have a little bit of inane banter, and then you go on your way, and we do our segment with Brian in radio. Sports radio is called a crossover.
Wait, what am I, Kaiser Soze? The usual suspects? What are we doing? Ken, what the heck is going on?
I don't know. I have no idea.
So would you like the order to be reversed next time so you can feed off that Petrie energy and then we get rid of him and then you do your Ray Longo minute? Ooh, I like that.
I'm good any way it goes, baby. I'm a professional. Put me in there anytime.
So I was in Rio de Janeiro, and our great pay-per-view producer, Michael LaPlante Lappy, says to me, he's like, hey, that handicapper on your show, Brian Petrie. I'm like, yeah, like someone's going to come take this guy. Maybe Zach Candido in the UFC should just hire him already. But
leave him alone. He's out.
Well, because obviously, like, I'm here for the comedy, right? As much as I'm here for the MMA handicap, right? I'm here for the personality. But this guy, he's a combination comedic, self-aware, right? And he's been handicapping MMA since he's like fucking 11 years old.
It's true.
What else are you looking for?
Listen, the first time
we own the rights. We own the rights to Brian currently, so they're going to have to buy out his contract.
I say we do. We do a handshake deal, and then if he reneges on it, we just kill him. But no, listen. The first time I heard Brian, I said this kid's got something special. I love the way he talks, and we don't know each other, right? It's not like I have any connection, I love the energy. I love the passion, and he's consistently doing it, which is not easy to do, right? You could have a good week and a bad week, but he's consistently good,
right?
And I don't know, he's a nice young man. Yeah. I want to see him succeed as much as possible. So I take that back. Go for the gold. Ray. Get rid of us old bastards and go for it, Petrie. We all had our time. Now it's your time.
Thank you.
All right, Ray, enjoy that cold brew, and we'll talk to you in a few days.
Take it easy, guys. Thank you, buddy. Always a pleasure. Remember, head up, chin down, and stay off your back. Let me get out of here. Take it easy.
Thank you, buddy. There he is, living legend, mixed martial arts.
I didn't know that segment was going to be praise Brian. I'm embarrassed. That was amazing. Jeez,
that wasn't how it was necessarily scripted, but